Today I'm going to show you how to make the world's best biscuit. We're going to start by preheating the oven to 425 degrees. You're going to line a baking sheet with parchment paper and get your cooling rack ready to go. You're going to dump 2 cups all-purpose unbleached enriched flour into a mixing bowl. That'd be 480 milliliters if you're on the metric system, followed by 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1 tablespoon of baking powder, preferably in that order. And that would be 15 milliliters, and 1 teaspoon of salt, 5 milliliters. Then you're going to use a baby whisk and put it all together, or a normal whisk if you are a normal individual. So you might be wondering why I'm doing this, because friends keep asking for the biscuit recipe and I felt it necessary to share with the world. So here you go. Next, you're going to add 1/3 cup or 80 milliliters of shortening. I went way too wild. I had to scrape some back in. And so I had the rubber scraper out. I use that to clear out my 1/3 cup. I'll need that later. Next, I'm going to cut and incorporate the shortening into the flour, It'll look like coarse-meal, or there'll be little balls of goodness in there. And if you like this recipe, feel free to share it on Facebook, because I think you might end up going back to it. Next, we're going to add 1 cup of milk. Here you have options. You can use coconut milk, you can use whole milk, you can use a 50-50 blend. That is what I opted for. You're going to blend this all together in your mixing bowl. I use my rubber scraper here. If you have a wooden spoon or a silicone spoon, that would be great as well. Then you're going to flour a surface. Make sure it's well powdered. Your hands are powdered. That way, when it comes to knead this stuff, it doesn't stick to your hands, because you're going for a somewhat tacky texture. If it sticks to your fingers, you're in the right ballpark. Here we're going to knead probably about 10 times. You don't want to go too wild with it. It seems to make it for a firmer biscuit. Once you're done with that, you're going to get your biscuit cuttery out after you measure for height. And the orange thing is a intentional biscuit cutter, or you can use measuring cups. 1/3 cup or a 1/2 cup will do you just right. The 1/3 cup makes the smaller biscuit, and if you bake that for the full 15 minutes, it will create a crisp or a more firm biscuit. The 1/2 cup tends to be what my go-to. Creates a bigger biscuit, but when you bake it for 13 minutes, it just seems to be just perfect. Not gooey on the inside, but just light and fluffy. Here you have an option. I'm not going to do it, but what you can do is you can whisk an egg and brush it on top. It'll create a nice golden texture to your biscuits and be a great presentation. But in our family, we don't tend to prefer that, so we just go with the 6-ingredient biscuit here. And as I put the last ones on, you'll see me put them into the oven, and then ask Alexa to set a timer. Alexa, set a timer for 13 minutes.
13 minutes, starting now.
So your option's 13 to 15 minutes, but here, look at these bad boys. Believe me, I think you'll want to come back to this. They are light and fluffy. I do not think you will ever want a biscuit out of a can again, because these are about as good as it gets. Thanks for joining me today. Tell me what you think below and share on Facebook once you make it, and if you enjoy it.